Hello, friends. I am glad to welcome you to the Romans Mountain Village channel. Today we're heading up a mountain trail right from my village. Step by step, we'll reach the top and see what's waiting for us there. And to make the journey more engaging, I'll share some legends and stories connected to this mountain. So let's begin. Our mountain ridge is almost detached from the surrounding ranges. At the very foot of the mountain lies my village. The twin-peaked mountain, stretching farthest to the north from the Carpathian side, was most likely named in honor of Stribog, the Slavic god of winds. We first learn about Stribog from the so-called Canon of Vladimir, a chronicle compiled at the end of the 11th century, where he is listed among the pagan gods between Dazbog and Samargal. From there, his name passed into later homiletic literature, which repeated this list of deities, sometimes incomplete, also preserved in the primary chronicle. The epic poem, The Tale of Igor's Campaign, even calls the winds Stribog's grandchildren, who blow from the sea with arrows. Supporting this theory about the mountain's name is the dominance of strong western and northwestern winds here. They blow from the plains onto the slopes of Strahora, creating whirlwinds that sometimes bring damage to both people and the natural world. On the northern slope of Strahora, the beech trees, twisted and deformed by the winds, were once called Hatchuhi and are now known as Krivuli. The peak of Strahora is still called Baba. It is quite reasonable to assume that in pre-Christian times, right here at the summit, there was one of the centers of Slavic pagan culture, given its location on a major trade route from Podilia across the Carpathians. My village at the foot of this mountain was very likely a kind of cult center in the times of Chivan Rus, a Slavic pantheon of sorts. Most probably, this was one of the three sacred sites described by the Arab scholar and geographer Almast. The Slavs have three sanctuaries, two by the sea and one in the mountains. Indeed, the cult center near today's Lawyer fits this description most closely. Moreover, Almast wrote that around the sanctuary there were waters of different colors and tastes, beneficial for people, and that at the feet of the gods idol stood images of ravens and ants. Now I will tell you a legend fairy tale that my grandmother often told me about this mountain. Legend of Mount Strahora. Long ago, when the world was still young and people lived in harmony with nature, on the highest mountain above the Carpathian forests lived the mighty god of winds, Stribog. He ruled over every current of air. When he was calm, a gentle breeze swayed the grass and brought coolness from the mountains. People called it the breath of Stribog and believed it protected their homes and fields. But when someone offended him or harmed nature, Stribog grew angry. Then from the peak of the mountain came furious storms. Trees were broken, sand and dust rose into the air, and thunder and lightning announced his wrath. The villagers would look at the mountain and say, "Oh, again that Strahora, the fearful mountain." One day, a cruel prince settled on its slopes and ordered a huge castle to be built. He had the forests cut down, ignoring the warnings of the wise. Stribog became enraged. One moonlit night, he gathered all the winds, hurricanes, and tempests. The storm was so strong that the earth shook, and the prince's castle crumbled into dust. Since then, people never forgot the lesson. The mountain where Stribog's winds showed their terrible power was named Strahora. Its name remains a reminder. You must never insult nature, for even the invisible wind can hold unstoppable strength. And even today, at the foot of the mountain, you can hear the winds whispering in the treetops, as if Stribog himself still speaks to people, reminding them of their bond with the natural world. And I heard this second legend from my paternal grandfather, the legend of the Golden Road and the Silver Storm. In ancient times, Mount Strahora was not only the dwelling place of Stribog, god of the winds, but also the very heart of the Golden Road. This trade route cut through the Carpathians, linking the rich lands of the east with the grand cities of the west. Merchants carried honey, furs, and timber, and brought back silver, velvet, and exotic fabrics. Stribog, master of the sky, was the protector of this road. Travelers believed he gave them fair winds and kept the fog away. People called the trade path the breath of Stribog. But once, a greedy merchant named Camin appeared. He cared only for gold and wanted all the profit for himself. At the pass, he demanded outrageous tolls, robbing poor travelers. His heart was as hard as stone, just like his name. From high above, Stribog watched in anger. He summoned his strongest winds and commanded, "Gather all the treasures this man has stolen and hide them forever." The next day, as Camin stood on the road, a storm unlike any before burst from the mountain. This was not just a tempest, but the Silver Storm. The winds carried his stolen silver into the sky, swirling it in a wild dance before scattering it across the mountain, hiding it under rocks and roots. Camin rushed to grab the coins, but each one turned into a worthless stone as soon as he touched it. At last, the storm itself turned him into a gray boulder, still standing on the pass today. Since then, no one has ever found true silver or gold on Strahora, for Stribog hid it forever. But on nights of the full moon, if you climb the mountain, you may hear coins ringing in the wind, a reminder that true treasure is not in wealth, but in honor, and that a just path is always rewarded. And one more story. I don't remember who I heard it from. They say that not only Stribog chose Mount Strahora as his home. The legendary Carpathian opera shock leader, Oleksa Dovbush, remembered as a folk hero and defender of the poor, often came here as well. He knew every trail and hidden gorge of the mountain, but there was one secret he searched for his entire life. People whispered that somewhere on the summit of Strahora, where the wind blows strongest, lay the sword of Stribog, forged from storm winds and lightning. It could cut through solid rock, but its greatest power was this. It gave its bearer command over the winds themselves. Dovbush, who fought for justice, dreamed of finding the sword. With it, he could summon storms to sweep away the mansions of the lords, and fair winds to aid the oppressed. Many times he climbed Strahora, and once, during a furious storm, a rock split open before him. In the crack he saw the sword, shining like molten silver. When he grasped it, a mighty wind surged through his body. The sword was so light it seemed to float in the air. With a single swing, he unleashed a whirlwind that scattered the troops pursuing him like autumn leaves. From that day on, no enemy could ever catch Dovbush. He appeared and vanished like the wind itself. People said Stribog helped him, for he had found the god's sword. But the sword had one condition. It could never be used for personal revenge, only for protecting the weak. Dovbush left behind many hidden caches of treasure in these mountains. They say the gold still lies there, guarded not only from people, but also by the eternal winds in the treetops. And if you listen closely, you may hear not only the rage of storms, but also the breath of freedom, for which Oleksa Dovbush lived and fought. I can already see the top. Cool. We did it. Great. This is our observation deck. Now I'll show you what a wonderful view it offers. It's incredible. I am the Lord of the Mountains. Just kidding. Now I leave you with these incredible views. Enjoy and feel this nature, this grandeur, this beauty. I am delighted. I hope you are too. Maximum relaxation and rest. Okay, friends, we're going to wrap up this video, almost an hour long. It was very beautiful, powerful, and incredible. Do you agree with me? Now you can see how many kilometers we have walked. Good physical activity equals strong health. Thank you very much for being with me on this mountain hike. See you in the next video. Yours, Roman.